Hi, this is Aaron Wilson with our latest Texans training camp report. Texans were off today, Thursday. They'll get back on the field Friday morning. And there was some interesting things that developed today, and it had to do with medical. So I'll start with that and give you guys my latest news and updates. So Aireontae Hamilton, who was carted off the field, he broke his left ankle, and he underwent surgery Thursday afternoon. He has not immediately been placed on injured reserve, but he will be. He needs 4 months to recover. Tough blow for the 7th-round draft pick from Rutgers, hardworking kid from Georgetown Prep High School. We have a lot of mutual connections back in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. And, yeah, tough to see that for Aireontae Hamilton. I know he'll work hard to get back on the field eventually, but 4 months is a long time, so we'll see if he can have anything and salvage part of his rookie season or if that is it for Aireontae Hamilton. So they signed a player, and a guy, Ndabuse, and he is from Lagos, Nigeria. He has played for the Commanders and the Patriots and the Falcons and several other teams. And he's a big guy, 6'8", says he weighs about 340 pounds with 20% body fat. So he's a specimen. He's played offensive line, but they've now moved him to the defensive line full time. And he comes to the Texans through the International Pathway Program. He does not count against the 90-man roster limit because of his international player exempt status. So they have in a new player in Hagai Ndabuse, and he learned the game by watching YouTube videos. Ironically, we're on YouTube. And he played soccer, he played basketball, and his friends would practice with drills with him back in Africa. He caught the attention of some of the people from the NFL, and the rest is history. And now he's a Houston Texan after a successful workout last week that included Cameron Young. They also tried out a few other players today. They had a workout with Osheni Ximines. He is a former New York Giants 3rd-round draft pick. He is a linebacker. And they worked out Marlon Davidson. Marlon is a former Atlanta Falcons 2nd-round draft pick. He's also played for the 49ers. They're having him undergo a physical. We'll see if they sign him. Kurt Heinisch remains sidelined with a knee injury. So we'll see if they look at Marlon Davidson. And then they had another workout with Kevin Hester from North Carolina. Unfortunately, he injured his hamstring during the workout. So he's a nose tackle, big guy, and just had a tough time in the workout. I heard Marlon Davidson's workout went well. We'll see if they sign Marlon Davidson. So those are a couple of personnel matters. And since we're still talking about injuries and personnel, two of my favorite topics, I don't say favorite, but things that I like to concentrate on, because I like to concentrate on the roster and the injury front and contracts. And why? I would say, the biggest thing is you're looking for the news, looking for the latest updates. Jared Wayne, you guys probably have heard that he wasn't practicing. So Jared has a strained hamstring, and he's expected back after the Minnesota Vikings game. So when they get back from the Greenbrier in West Virginia next week, then play the Vikings. After that, he's supposed to be ramped up to return from a strained hamstring. And he's had his moments. He's looked good out there. So unfortunately, he's injured. Still no return in sight for Christian Harris, the linebacker. He has a strained calf. And obviously, I know it's affected him all the way back to last year. And, he had the ankle injury at the end of last season. No, he didn't have surgery. Hasn't had anything like that. It's just a very slow healing thing, and they don't want to have another setback. So they're trying to get him ready for the season. He is making progress, I'm told. And I would just say, no one could be more frustrated than Christian. So I know that some fans have some impatience with this. This isn't like, kind of logic, I'm saying here. But it's like he wants to be out. He'd love to play. He loves football. He's a very hardworking young man, loves this game, played at Alabama, has had some really good moments for the Texans when he's been healthy, caveat when he's been healthy. So Christian is still hurt. Trent Brown is getting closer to practicing. He has been medically cleared by Dr. Dan Cooper, the Dallas Cowboys doctor that did his patellar tendon surgery. And so he is rounding into form, and we'll see when they decide to activate him. And along with Foley Fadakasi coming off his shoulder injury, he's also had some foot issues. So they'll try to get those guys back on the field as soon as possible. And other than that, knock on wood, they haven't had a lot of new injuries. There have been, obviously, the one I just talked about with Jared Wayne, but it's been a pretty healthy bunch. Like you guys saw Jalen Petrie, he turned his ankle a little bit, missed a couple days, now he's back at it. And Arthur Mollett had a head injury. I don't believe it was a concussion, and he's practicing in a red jersey, which signifies that he's off limits to contact. So just looking through a couple more of my notes here of guys that are still sidelined. I'm told Derek Barnett will be back in a couple of weeks. So not this week and maybe not next week, but a couple of weeks from now that you get Derek Barnett, their backup defensive end, they re-signed and scored a couple of touchdowns. So a minor update. I don't know what Derek has, or I would report it, but Derek Barnett is still on the injured list, and so that's some of the injuries. Just looking through the depth chart, Kurt Hinish, as I said, knee, and I think that's probably, let's see, Joe Mixon. Of course, you want an update on Joe Mixon. Joe just continued progress, no clear return to play. They still hope to get him back for the Rams game, long time till the Rams game, but not expecting anything in the preseason. To reiterate that, as I'd said, the goal was always the Rams game. I reported that, and as you guys know, they're followers of the channel, I've been talking about Joe the whole summer. And the good news is he's made progress and that he hasn't had any setbacks. So he continues to get better in his return. So let's go over some things when we talk about some of the players that have had some good performances. And that's the secondary, especially Kalen Bullock. To me, Kalen has been lights out, just a great center fielder, really great feel for the game, the way he tracks the football, the way he catches the football. It's been outstanding, and I thought the teamwork between him and his best friend, Kamari Lassiter, was outstanding in a coverage on a deep ball that C.J. Stroud threw to Nico Collins. And yes, C.J. threw deep, and I have not seen one problem with his arm. I don't know why there is still this undercurrent of concern about C.J. Stroud. He has not missed a single practice. He's out there. He's throwing. He seems like he's never in any discomfort. I don't know if there's some sort of pitch count, but it doesn't look like there's anything at all to be alarmed about. If I hear something, I will let you guys know. Have not heard that. Derek Stingley, I had my conversation with Derek Stingley Jr. You guys saw. He is having a great camp with diving pass breakups. And the matchups between him and Nico Collins are definitely worth the price of admission. They are gold. And Nico is a formidable downfield target, but Derek Stingley Jr. is up to the task. And we're seeing some good things from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, sticking with the theme of the secondary, his big hit on Brevin Jordan. And like the celebration, he calls it the belt to ass celebration. And that is, he said, is obvious what that means. Enjoyed the conversation with him, and including my question, which I guess was going a little viral, about sharks not sleeping, and he says he's a predator. And we talked about predators and being the prey and the hunted, and lots of themes of prey and hunters. So interesting to hear that mentality from him. And I can tell you this, he has turned the chapter. I think he's accepted it. I think the closure of getting the Super Bowl ring and some of the things he's gotten off his chest, I think that really helps him to compartmentalize it. It is emotional to be traded. He did want to have his family in Philadelphia. He did love being an Eagle, but I think he's loving being a Texan, and he's having some fun out there. That's good. We saw some interceptions in the last practice from Davis Mills. Jalen Reed picked him off, returned it for a touchdown. That pass was supposed to go to Brevin Jordan. And M.J. Stewart also picked 6 at Davis Mills' expense. Davis has been pretty good with the football, but not in this one. And I saw an interception from Tremont Smith. Everybody wants to talk about the offensive line, so let's go over it. This is what I feel is happening, what I'm hearing, and what I'm seeing. Aireontae Ersery, the massive rookie tackle, is making his move to be the right tackle. I would say he's in the lead right now, ahead of Blake Fisher. I know that they haven't declared anything, and he's got to prove it in the games, but he is in the lead. And to me, he's the front runner to become the right tackle for the Houston Texans when they play Los Angeles Rams. Blake Fisher's had false starts. At times, they've taken him off the field because they haven't been happy with these false starts. There are consequences. There is discipline if a player makes a mistake. That didn't always happen with Chris Strausser, but with Cole Popovich and Nick Caley, former New England guys, they will take you off the field and put someone else in. And they put Zach Thomas in, and Zach's actually a good backup. So is Jalen Thomas. And they see Drew Scruggs in the mix as a backup. because he can play all three positions. So I see value there. But here's the line. Cam Robinson, left tackle, really seems unchallenged at this point. Laken Tomlinson at left guard. Titus Howard at right guard. There still is a center competition. That is active between Jake Andrews and Jaret Patterson, but Jake has had more of the reps with the first team and seems to be in the lead for that position. I think that's how they would go. And so we've seen, in terms of second team, Zach Thomas, left tackle, Juice Scruggs at left guard, Jaret Patterson at center, Ed Ingram, right guard, Blake Fisher, right tackle. Not a bad group of backups, but Trent Brown will be heard from at some point, and they'll get him in there. And it's still tough. Ersery, it's not like he's dominant out there. He's still having some issues with Danielle Hunter, but who isn't, and Darrell Taylor. But there's just a feeling that Ersery, who always obviously looks the part, would be the better option for the Texans to get him out there at right tackle. And I think he's also the left tackle of the future. Remember, Cam Robinson's under a one-year contract worth up to $14.5 million. So I want to go through a couple of other positions and situations that have happened. And I think it's interesting to see. We did have some feistiness between Daniel Jackson, the rookie receiver, and D'Angelo Ross, and that got broken up. There was a little bit of back and forth between Solomon Byrd and Xavier Johnson, the receiver. Solomon's had a very good camp. He's been a sleeper for me to make the team, to make the 53 this time. And Rush East was the peacemaker. And we've seen, some feistiness from KCSI. Big hit on British Brooks. That upset Austin Deculus. So there was a little bit of thing there. It's a little chippy. And we'll see if after the day off, if that maybe calms things down, quells it a little bit. So we continue to see at linebacker a lot of EJ Speed and Henry Toto, and they play next to Aziz Al-Shire. So they've been doing that for a while. I thought J.J. Taylor has looked good since coming back from the plantar fasciitis, and it's good to see that for J.J., who's actually one of the shiftier backs. He's all 5'6" of him. He's very elusive. Everybody's been happy with Bullock. They've been happy with to see, of course, the development of Cade Stover. And, I've been talking about that for a while and have an article in the works for www.click2Houston at KPRC2. And just real proud of everything we're doing too with Randy McElvoy and R. Alexander. And lots of good coverage on television and, of course, on the website. So, guys, please check us out there too as well. And it is free at www.click2Houston.com. And we are over 12,000 subscribers now on the channel. Proud of that number. Want to get to 13,000. So I'm not complacent at all. You talk about football players. As a media guy, I'm never complacent. I want to do better. I want to give you better coverage and get more stories and more insight and more good videos. So look for more, and I've got a conversation coming up with one of the more intriguing rookies for the Texans, so I will bring that to you as soon as possible once I have that interview completed, and I'll share it with you guys. So I'm just going to kind of go through the depth chart a little bit and give you some observations as we quick hit our way into the weekend, and I get ready to head to West Virginia to the Greenbrier. So Nico Collins, just on top of his game, been as advertised. Everything looks good with Nico. I've been impressed with Jaden Higgins, including how he took that hit. I thought that the hit from Jalen Petrie was a big, clean hit, but Higgins jumped up and was not phased. And he's a big, strong guy. You guys probably saw in the videos of him. He's got a big, strong upper body. He's got some shoulders, got some biceps on him. He can take those hits. He took those hits in the Big 12. Christian Kirk has been the consummate slot. Very impressed with him. Cam Robinson, not bad. Not bad as the left tackle, solid. Same thing with Laken Tomlinson. You know what you're going to get. A lot of durability, pretty good technique. I think that Jake Andrews just a little stronger physically and a little stouter in terms of lower center of gravity than Jaret Patterson. Jaret's a very smart player, good technician. I like a lot of things that he does. Titus Howard has seemed to gain a comfort level at right guard, like what he's doing over there. As the aforementioned Blake Fisher, some issues with false starts, some issues in pass pro. Dalton Schultz, a little bit resurgent. I think Dalton, who we're going to talk to this week, has gotten himself to a point where he's looking a lot better, looking a little more spry. I think there was a health issue. I just think it was never really put out there by him. And maybe at some point it became kind of a confidence and timing issue with him and C.J. Stroud. But he looks like he's starting to get back to the Dalton Schultz we saw the first year here. And that's a good thing. And then C.J. Stroud, he's thrown the football well. He's made a couple of mistakes too. I think a lot of that is because he pushes the envelope in practice and he doesn't want to, really lose an opportunity to maybe force a throw, get it in there and see what he can do. In the games, he does conduct himself differently. And then, I'm going through some backups here. John Mechie III's played better since a tough start to camp. Jalen Noel, like what I've seen from him on punt returns, as well as Braxton Berrios. Braxton Berrios, to me, is the best punt returner, but Noel has a lot of potential there, too. I think, amongst the backups, Brevin Jordan for the tight ends definitely has been a playmaker. Nick Chubb, a lot of people ask me about the backfield. I'd be remiss not to go over the running backs. Obviously, we know about Joe Mixon, but Chubb, you want to see a little more explosiveness, a little more lean, body lean from him, a little bit more. I think when the pads go on, you may see the pads are on, but I mean in terms of like when he's going to play in a game, that's what I think we'll be able to judge Chubb and any suddenness. I like the lead blocking Jakob Johnson. That looks good to me. Damian Pierce is still out with a strained quadriceps. Woody Marks has caught the football well. J.J. Taylor has looked good. Jahar Jordan has had the best cuts. And someone was asking me in the comments about, well, does that mean he could just be the starting running back? I don't think that's the plan. That's why they have a $5 million contract. They make decisions in personnel and coaching about who's going to play. So unless he goes in a game and he starts taking it the distance and making big-time plays, these practice moments are great, and he's a good football player, and he's a good guy. He's fast, but you just still need to see more from him to get him out there. And among the younger receivers that are backups, I like Daniel Jackson. I've seen good things from him. So we'll talk a little defense, and then we'll wrap. Will Anderson Jr., you've heard it from me. It sounds like a broken record. He has been dominant. I mean, this guy's looking like he's trying to be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Outstanding repertoire of moves. Daniil Hunter, lots of speed, lots of dominance, relentless at chasing down the quarterback. It is unfair. I wonder if it's almost demoralizing for them to play against these guys. I've seen Tim Settle Jr. and Mario Edwards Jr. make some good gap shooting moves inside to stuff the run. That's been encouraging to see. Harry Toto, good scraping, pursuit angles, getting to the ball. You saw, we had a conversation with Azeez Al-Shire. Azeez has done a really good job of leading the defense and being that team captain. And with the green dot, he is the extension of DeMeco Ryans, his vision for the defense and communicating the signals to the huddle and before and after the huddle. So he's been good at that. And then, we've talked about Bullock, Lassiter. Lassiter looks even better this year to me than a year ago. I like what I'm seeing from Sheldon Rankins. I asked that question about Sheldon. I knew that. That's why I wanted to hear him talk about the viral meningitis and the shingles that he dealt with. Courageous comeback from that. And he has got his health back and spring in his step. And he's a good mentor to Will Anderson Jr., so it's good to have Rankins back. And it gives him a nice rotation of defensive tackles with him, Foley Fadakasi, and Mario Edwards Jr. and Tim Settle. So it's a good group. There's no star, but there's some really good football. Nick Neiman, the backup linebacker, has also had his moments and some good run fits from Jake Hansen. Don't forget Hansen when it comes to special teams. And Jalen Smith, the rookie corner, I've had a couple of questions about him. He's looked like to me like he's in the lead for third corner ahead of Damon Arnett Jr. Arthur Millette, more of a nickel, backup nickel. Miles Bryant, whenever he gets a chance, has done well as the nickel filling in. I still see Dylan Horton and Solomon Byrd. They're in a fight for that roster spot. I like Darrell Taylor's speed off the edge. He's explosive. Tommy Tagiai has been good. Jackson Woodard, pretty instinctive rookie. And, it's good to see MJ Stewart make a play. Junior Tafuna looks like he's going to be a part of this team one way or another, practice squad or 53. So those are some of the guys. And Elijah Huzzy, as I've told you guys before, he will basically have a redshirt year because he tore his ACL in the East-West Shrine game. Guys, so that's really going to do it for me for now. Please like, watch, subscribe as you guys have been. Let's get this thing to 13,000. Love to do it while we're at the Greenbrier, and then goals after that, 14,000, 15,000, eventually 20,000. I want to make this a big channel and to continue to give you guys the coverage that I have, and this also helps supplement what I'm doing with KPRC and at www.click2houston.com. I'm on Twitter, @AaronWilson_NFL, and Instagram at AaronWilson7128. We'll have coverage of practice Friday morning and Saturday, and then the team will be traveling to the Greenbrier, as will I, to West Virginia, Mountain Home, take me home to West Virginia. and it'll be my third trip to the Greenbrier. Previously did that when I was at the Houston Chronicle, and now I'll be doing this for KPRC2. We'll be doing it on camera and on the digital platforms at www.clicktohouston.com. Until next time, guys, thank you.